I am excited to introduce Ron Imbach, and Ron will be presenting on fundraising, which I know is a big deal for every nonprofit. Ron is a business coach, consultant, trainer, group coach, public speaker. He has over 30 years of experience working with various nonprofits in the DC metro area. He's the president of RWI Solutions. He is available to help if after the sessions you feel like you need someone to take you further. Ron will be happy to do that. And Ron is also a certified business coach. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Ron up to the front so he can begin his presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How's everybody doing? You had enough coffee? Okay, good. Well, I'm really happy to be here with you today. I'm very, very happy that Sarah invited me to be here to talk about something I enjoy talking about very, very much, and I hope you enjoy hearing about it, fundraising. When I talk to groups or when I talk to people with charities, people who run charities, even people in development, and I say that, I love development, I love fundraising, I'll often get eyes rolling, I'll often get head shaking, because most people are like, you like development? You like to ask people for money? Now, why is that? Why do we think that everyone has, or most people, of everything we do in our mission, we have a negative idea about fundraising? Well, I've got a real good, and it actually beckons back to my experience in sales. I think it has to do with the concept of rejection. We all, especially folks in charities, we love to offer the services, we love to help people, and that's a wonderful, wonderful quality that I think we have. And to be quite honest, I've done a lot of volunteer work, but with big charities and working with charities, it's almost always been in development. So I provide, or I help to bring in the funds that obviously provide the services. But let's go back to that rejection thing, okay? No one likes to be rejected, right? I mean, I remember those times in high school when I would ask the pretty girl out to the prom and get rejected. I didn't enjoy that. Even in fact, having worked half of my career in the private sector and worked a lot in sales and development, business development, I never enjoyed that. Top salespeople don't enjoy getting rejected. They're used to it, okay, because it happens, and it's kind of part of the game if you're in sales. But no one likes rejection. So if you don't like it, quite frankly, no one really likes to be rejected. So you're in a very large boat. Now, as far as, we'll go back to that sales analogy that I talked about a little bit. The way that many of us think about salespeople, especially, I've worked with a lot of people in development. Some of us think of ourselves as salespersons, some of us don't. I'm here to tell you that you're pretty much a salesperson, okay? You're selling a great idea. You might be selling making the world a better place. You might be selling enhancing your community, whatever the case may be, but you are a salesperson. Now, I'm going to contradict that a little later in what I'm going to say to a degree, but still, I want you to keep that in mind that you are a salesperson. Now, it may be relationship building sales. It may be more consultative. It's a more soft sell than if you're selling, any kind of product you can think of or any type of service, but it still is sales. Now, quite frankly, as I said, my career's kind of been split. I spent the first half of my career in the private sector, the second half of my career primarily working with nonprofits and development. My initial experience in sales, frankly, I thought that as long as you gave the best presentation, that's all you had to do, right? So I always gave the best presentation, but frankly, I didn't sell a lot initially. Well, that's not good if you're a salesman. You're supposed to try and sell a lot. I don't care how good your presentation is. And I found out the key to what's actually helped me now that I've been with nonprofits a long time. It also helped me as I worked with for-profits. And that is sitting back, and instead of trying to do all the talking, I'm supposed to be listening. Now, I can direct the conversation, which I should be doing that, but you do it with questions. So I'm the one, I enjoy getting up in front and doing things like this, speaking in front of a group. Most people hate that. I actually enjoy that. But I found out early on that if I'm going to be successful in sales, and I think by the same token in nonprofit development, you've got to listen a lot, You've got to get to know any of us. If we're getting to know someone, we want to be asked questions. Do we enjoy getting to know anyone where they do all the talking? Probably not, okay? So it's an exchange, and we have to keep that in mind. So I talked about rejection before. One of the ways to reduce that rejection, which we know we all hate, is by getting to know the person, finding out what your donor is really interested in, okay? And that will, no question about it, is going to reduce the number of people who say, no, I'm not interested in that, because you're going to know what they're interested in. You're going to give them ideas, you're going to give them programs that are most interested, that they want to support, okay? So that'll help that rejection that we all hate, that'll reduce that quite a bit. Now, I set this up as a TED Talk, so I'm going to give you takeaways. And I promise I'll get to the takeaways in just a minute, but I just want to emphasize one other thing, that probably the second most thing that scares charities the most about development is the ask. Would we all agree with that? Okay? It's very easy to, we all like people, or most of us do. We like to get to know people. We like to get to know our constituents, our supporters. But when it gets to the point that you've got to ask for that $10,000 gift, you've got to ask for that $50,000 gift, you've got to ask for that $1 million gift, that's tough, okay? And actually, I had a little bit of an advantage because since I did work in sales, my first job when I made the transition in 1999 over to working with nonprofits, the reason I was actually hired, or one of the main reasons why the person who was the president of Wesley Seminary hired me, he said, I know you've been a financial advisor, I know you've worked in business development, I know you know how to close. We're great at building relationships here. We're not phenomenal at closing gifts. He said, and I think you'll be good at that. So anyway, so that is a very important part of it as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that in my fundraising workshop, and I'll be more than happy to answer any other questions about it as well. Now, I promised takeaways. We're going to get to takeaways. The first takeaway, and this is a fairly simple one, but I'm going to delve into it a little bit more, and that's building relationships. I think we all know that, but I think in this day and age, it's especially important because you can sit behind your computer and try to build relationships all day. Now, I'm not just an old fogey that doesn't believe in social media, okay? Especially since one of our sessions today is going to be on social media, okay? So that's not what I'm saying. But I look at social media as wonderful tools. And look at it like this compared to when I got into development back in 1999, and some of you could have been in development at that time, I don't know. But we didn't have those tools, where at that time I may have wanted 10 to 15 for myself or for my staff touches a year, contacts with a donor in a variety of different ways. Well, I couldn't use Facebook. I couldn't use Twitter. I couldn't use our website. Okay, so you have a lot of extra tools, but I'm here to say of the 10, 11 seven-figure gifts that I've completed in my career, all but 2 of them have been done through face-to-face contact. So no matter how you look at it, and no matter how effective I think that your program is, when you're dealing with major donors, when you're dealing with significant, whether it's individuals, whether it's corporations, fundraising is a contact sport. Okay, I love to use sporting analogies, so I may use a few more of those. Okay? The second takeaway, and this is one I'm going to ask for a show of hands in just a minute, give your supporters the opportunity to help you in a number of ways. Now, what does that mean? It means 2 different things, at least the way I'm going to emphasize it. One is if you walk into a meeting with a donor and you're only, you walk in with one objective in mind. I want a cash gift, I want it for $25,000, and I want it for one purpose. Well, what if that donor can't write you a check that day for $25,000? They may not be able to do that. And if they're not aware ahead of time of what kind of gift, the size, that type of thing, they may say, I can't do that. But they may look at you and say, my tax advisor has been telling me that I should gift appreciated stock. Do you accept stock gifts? Now, if you tell them, no, I don't accept stock gifts, well, that's obviously a preferred type of gift they'd like to give. So frankly, if they don't give it to you, they're probably going to give it to another charity. And if they can't afford to write a check for $10,000 or $25,000, you're probably going to get a significantly lower gift. So you want to be able to give them different opportunities, whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, whatever the case may be. Put your policies, your gift acceptance policies in place, and be willing to accept not just the typical online gift or cash gift. The other thing I mean by that takeaway is different programs. So if you walk into a donor and you tell the donor, here's what we need to have funded, okay? That may or may not get that donor excited. If it doesn't get that donor excited, I like to, and I've used this phrase many times before, have a menu of giving opportunities. I want to give them another way, okay, another program. Because if I just go in with one program and one arrow in my quiver, so to speak, and that's it, what if they don't like that program? Okay? But what if they love your charity and they want to help your charity? Give them another option. That's very, very important. In addition to that, I talked about that rejection that we all hate. If you're tailoring your ask and the program so what they really like the most, you're going to have much more success. Your rejection rate's going to be a lot lower. Now, my third takeaway and my final takeaway, okay, is when it comes to funding, we all are thinking about our current funding. Okay, it's very, very obviously we've got to meet our current budgetary needs. But don't forget long-term funding. Now, if you know anything about my background, and I don't know if it wasn't, I don't think, in the bio, but I've done a lot of work in plan giving. Now, plan giving is one way of thinking of long-term funding. But I'm going to introduce another concept to you as well, and it's a concept I learned from a mentor of mine, the former president of Wesley Seminary, Doug Lewis. He liked to think of donors, and he wanted us to develop donors that were lifetime donors. What did he mean by lifetime donors? He wanted to have, and I've stuck with this every place I've been in development, he wanted to have donors that would give an annual gift to meet annual budgetary needs, your needs right today. He also wanted to have donors that would give you at least one capital gift during their lifetime, to a capital campaign, or maybe a significant major gift. It should be at least 10 to 20 times what their regular gift is that they give you on an annual basis. So generally speaking, that's going to probably be $10, $25, $100,000 or more. Okay? So that's very important. And then, of course, at the end, since I've worked a lot in plan giving, how could I forget to say that? You want to try and get an estate gift or a plan gift from your donor as well. So if you get those kinds of things, all three of those different gifts from all of your major supporters, you're going to have a pretty successful development program. Now, you can get them in a lot of different ways, okay, especially now with online giving and a lot of different ways you can get that. Okay, but that should be a good goal for that. And to kind of close on this, whether you're a development person or whether you are the executive director of a charity, whether you work in programs, whatever your position is, Doug had a great quote for development. Now, remember when I said I was going to contradict myself a little bit on sales? Here's where I'm going to contradict myself a little bit. Doug's statement used to be, don't look at yourself if you're working for a charity. You're asking a donor to fund the work you do, whether that donor is an individual, corporation, foundation, whatever the case may be. Don't look at yourself as just a salesperson, okay, because that's not what we are. We are giving individuals, we're giving corporations, we're giving partnership, or we're giving foundations the opportunity to do something special, something that they couldn't have done on their own, and frankly, that's a very noble cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.